Hello, everybody. I'm back. Welcome to Conversations. Have lots of things to talk about today. We have with us Jack Hirsch and Barbara Ford, and both of them represent that group that has all those red signs all over town. By the way, Barbara, I took a ride on Sunday with my son-in-law to see what this fuss is about, and we drove along Henry Street and some of the other areas of North Amherst. And my God, there must have been 150 signs. So what is it all about?
Well, you were in Cushman Village, and what this is about is the proposal by Coles Inc. to place a development on this land of 191 single-family dwellings that is going to be, the market is student housing. So it's going to be run by a company out of Athens, Georgia, and they're proposing, this is the plan that they're proposing. We haven't seen a real plan yet, but they're in the they're on their way to coming up forward with a plan.
Jack, how far is that from UMass, that location, roughly?
I think it's about 3 miles.
It's about 3 miles. So it raises a lot of issues for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
The roads that need to serve that area, the increase in cars, the whole question of the community, what it looks like today and what it might look like in the past. And why is this a problem, though? It seems, wouldn't it be a good thing to provide housing for students? Well, Jack, I'll ask you to answer that question.
Well, it's necessary to provide housing for students. The question is where. Some people have suggested that this project will alleviate the problem with rental units downtown, which is absurd because, as we know, people like to live as close to the location that they're going as possible. So there's no way that providing 700 beds in North Amherst is going to alleviate any downtown issues in Amherst. What it may do is draw students to Amherst from Sunderland that are living further away. Of course, it depends on the cost of the housing. And this housing is projected to be very expensive.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I will interrupt you because I want to maximize this time we have together. We need housing, but isn't it part of a larger problem? Don't we need housing for low-income, middle-income folks who work in this town who can't find housing because of the competition that exists now? And what we do know, there's an economic issue here, that prices get jumped up because of demand. Why isn't UMass providing housing before they expand their population? You want to take that question?
Well, I'm not UMass, so I don't know.
Well,
but
I know you're
question.
not, but what's their argument?
I think their argument is that they have stated that they were only planning to house about 60% of their students, and that leaves the rest out in the region to find housing. And of course, the more they want to be close to the university, they're going to look for it in the neighborhoods that surround the university. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
It does. You're doing fine.
Okay.
Jack?
If you compare UMass to other residential universities, they do a good job. They're the third largest residential university in the country. However, no universities house all their students. And that's the problem, the spillover into the town. Most universities are in larger towns, so they can accommodate the students. Amherst can't. Okay,
so there is a problem, and the problem seems to be resolved if they can build, if private partners come into the act and they build housing in the community. The question is this the right place? It's not in my backyard, as some people would refer to it. It's about sensible planning. And talking about sensible planning, what is the history of this property in terms of the master plan, to the best of your knowledge?
Well, for one thing, it's been on the Conservation and Recreation long-range plan, which they update every so often. And the last time they updated it was 2009. And before, one of the considerations is that this particular piece of land has been under Chapter 61, which is forest protection and harvesting of forestry products. And so I think that the people in conservation who have done this planning had thought that this might be continue to be under this protection and haven't put it as their highest priority.
Have they taken a position on this projected change?
Not to my knowledge. We have appeared before the Conservation Commission and brought the issue before them, but they have not met to discuss this.
So they haven't taken a position.
That's
at
right.
this-
Right, at this
And
point.
is this something, Jack, that's coming before town meeting this May?
Yes, we have an article, a petition article number 43 that will be before town meeting.
And what does that,
That asks the town to consider buying the conservation rights to this land. And it also offers that we will do fundraising and find funds and the sources of funds to do this. One of the sources of funds that we're hoping for is the Community Preservation Act. We also did a presentation to them and felt that we were reasonably received.
okay, so in order to do what is being projected, who's projecting it, by the way? Who do I have to invite to the next conversation so I can get another perspective?
You
The
mean
other side of the issue.
Well, it's a
Who's
development
pushing- who's
company
pushing?
in Athens, Georgia.
But they're not pushing it, they're
Well,
doing it through
through
some
Coles-
local,
Yeah.
who's for it?
Well, Coles Inc. and the owner of Coles, the president, I believe, of the corporation is Cinda Jones. And she's been active in promoting this, I believe. So she's somebody who certainly would speak to, she believes that it's a good idea to put this kind of housing in this particular area. Also, it's one of probably the few pieces of land in town that is that large.
So it's a very special kind of property for a lot of reasons, isn't it?
Yes, but it may be hard to build on because it's upland, it's bedrock, it's forested at the moment, although it has been harvested. Every 20 years they come along and harvest it, and most recently it was pretty much a lot of trees were cut down and that kind of thing.
Do you want to add anything to that, Jack?
Well, there are a lot of unique features to this land. One of them is, of course, it's the home of spotted salamanders, and Stan Zomick in 82 or 83 took the initiative to build tunnels under Henry Street so the spotted salamanders that live in this land could migrate down to the vernal pools where they breed. And one of the big issues about this is of course, if you build on this land, all the pollution and things will run downhill, and although the vernal pools are protected, likely pollute the vernal pools and kill the salamanders. This land is also used as a wildlife corridor. As you can see on our map, wildlife come through the Mill River and Cushman Brook corridors and head over to Puffer's Pond. They also come across the corridor that's on the other side of it from Amethyst Brook. And the Robert Frost Trail actually connects through Amethyst Brook, through this land to the Puffer's Pond area. And animals communicate frequently through the land. So, you know, we see moose there, we see deer all the time, foxes, lots of wild animals. And
Is that why
wildlife
they
is
go
there.
to the Atkins Reservoir? Right in.
Well,
in
I
that
can't speak for the animals, but
No, well, somebody has to speak for the animals.
not for them. to
Why
them.
not? Or with them.
Right.
I would just like to add my impression of where these animals are in the Pelham Hills, and they come down directly through the Flat Hills Road area, and they go on into this property, and some of them appear even in, on the other side of East Pleasant Street and perhaps further down. Bear are one of the animals, and if this housing goes through and a lot of other housing, they'll be pushed back, or they'll wander through and be attracted to dumpsters, etc. So.
Before we continue, let's designate in terms of roads for folks who may not be familiar with this particular area. Jack, you want to?
This land is east of Henry Street, between Henry and Flat Hills Road, and it's sort of triangular, and the north boundary is Market Hill Road.
Okay, so if you were to go to Cushman's Crossing for coffee sometime, that might be a good place to meet. And are you planning to do a walk through the property in the near future so that people could see what you're talking about?
Well, there is an event on the Cushman Common that will be June 8th, I believe. And we're considering offering hikes or perhaps little walks to show people, more or less to give them the flavor of the land. It rises steeply right behind Henry Street and continues to go uphill for quite a ways.
Would you
And-
talk a little bit about the water reservoir situation, how a building of that kind of size might impact?
That's a huge consideration. Atkins Reservoir is less than a mile away. It is downhill, so it is certainly threatened by this development. First of all, it's threatened because students are going to wander around the woods and find it and go swimming in it. And I don't think that the Shutesbury police are going to be very effective in
It's in
patrolling
Shutesbury?
Most of it's in Shutesbury.
Oh, so it borders this property.
Well,
Or near
the
it.
Atkins Reservoir
Yeah.
is mostly in Shutesbury.
Okay.
Maybe totally, I'm not sure if it
No, mostly.
Mostly,
Yeah.
Mostly.
yeah. The little bit
Yeah.
of it is in Amherst.
But
So-
certainly this kind of housing has the highest density of automobiles, because what student is going to live miles away from campus without a car? And
Are there bike paths now?
no.
No, and very narrow roadways, actually. Henry Street is quite restricted because of the railroad track on one side. The railroad crossing, as maybe a lot of people know, goes right by the Cushman General Store, and traffic has to go up Pine Street. The crossing intersects that area, and so cars could very well be stacked up when there's a train going by.
So let me get a clearer picture at this point. How does this process work? It's coming soon before town meeting, which starts on May 6th. And it's one of the articles?
Yes, well,
Could you identify that?
yes, it's Article 43. It will be towards the end of town meeting. It is a petition article. But this article only asks the town to acquire the conservation rights for, should I mention, 1.9 to
1.2 million.
$2 million.
Up to that amount.
Up to. And, but this project, if it goes through, they propose, once they go through the planning process, which could take a while because at that point there will be some community input, but not until then, through the public hearing process. When that is over with, then they have said they intend to have it built within 1 year from, they said by 2014, but I think it'll be a little bit further off.
Okay, so first thing is the town meeting has to take some kind of specific action.
Right.
And what would that be?
That would be to purchase the conservation rights on this.
That's from
piece of
your
land.
perspective.
Right. If
But-
they don't, if they can turn it, they can do that, or they can turn the article down.
Okay, and then what happens?
The-
Jack?
The town gets the right of first refusal because the land is in Chapter 61 right now.
Okay, so it is
it's-
protected at
It's
this
rather
point.
ironic that people talk about expanding the tax base by building development when the tax base was shrunk by Chapter 61, and this land, they haven't had to pay taxes on this land for a long time.
A lot of taxes, that is.
A lot of taxes, yeah. I think the value of the land is assessed at something like $7,000 now.
7,000,
Yeah,
and
and
what's the
supposedly-
contemplated sale cost?
Well, we
George?
don't know officially, but the rumor is about 6.5 million.
That's a pretty good return.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
Well-
many years has it been laying that way?
since the mid-50s.
I see. Well,
Or
okay,
longer.
that makes sense.
Yeah, they would have to pay 5 years of back taxes. I'm not sure whether that's on what evaluation that is based, but they do have to pay 5 years once they withdraw it from Chapter 61,
So-
unless the town decides that it wants to buy it for that, whatever the buy-sell price is. And so that could be, the rumor is, as Jack mentioned, somewhere in that area.
Proceeding, in the immediate future, you have this resolution or article,
Warrant article,
which
right.
would make it possible for the town to have the rights to that land.
Yes.
Okay.
But they would have to negotiate for those
They'd
rights and have to have a willing seller.
What do
probably.
you see as a cost down the line to do in order to succeed in doing that?
Well, we can't say until we find out the actual price of the purchase and sell agreement.
Okay, so they could say 10 million, 15 million.
They
Right.
could.
Right.
So we have
6.5 million is extremely inflated, and we're suspecting that it'll be probably half of that.
So in order, this assumes that they're prepared to move forward on this project, and then they would have a sale price on the land, which is approximately, according to your information, about $6.5 million.
Yes.
That's just startup. And then there would be, of course, the investment to put up. How many units did you say?
They have said now that they would need 191 units, and they think they can place it on the land. They've drawn, according to the information they gave us at a meeting at the library, they have drawn a plan based on the cluster subdivision, which means they are asking to put the units on smaller lots than would be otherwise required in RO zoning, which is how this land is zoned, outlying residence.
So what do you think the members of the community should do? And what should they be looking for in terms of going ahead with this project? It does offer a tax base, right? It's not.
Yes.
It's not public nonprofit. It's a for-profit
That's right.
enterprise,
I think
which
they
would
should-
bring in a lot of taxes. So there are going to be some people who
Well,
say,
possibly.
well, maybe that's a good deal.
Well,
Well-
one of the things that we expect the town to do is come up with a cost analysis and find out if it is a good deal. It's highly debatable whether this kind of thing would be a good deal.
Jack, are they doing that?
Well, we're meeting with the town managers on Tuesday, and that'll be one of the things that we request. So at this point, they would say that there's been no formal proposal, so they don't have anything to work on, although we do know that they're working on increasing the sewerage capacity that goes underneath Pine Street to accommodate a development. So I'm rather disconcerted that the town is already working on this project and spending money on it before it even happens.
Well, could you flush that out a little bit more? I don't understand if there are no plans at this point to build.
Actually,
This actually would increase the value to go ahead with this kind of construction, to make sewage and water available. That would change the cost of that, so that even if the town wanted to buy it, they would now be improving land and then having to pay for it in some way down the road. Am I?
No, they haven't done that yet.
Oh, they're
But they're
contemplating
planning.
doing that?
They're planning.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah.
Could I clarify that a little further?
Sure.
There are couple of articles, or one article with several parts on the warrant town meeting to take $1 million from the sewer fund and from the water fund to start this sewer project. Now, it may be that the sewer project is needed for many reasons. It's perhaps that the pipes are very old. Also, they've been thinking about this for a while, because they felt that if their development took place in North Amherst, it would need this kind of improvement on the sewers. So the town is probably going to do this, regardless of how it improves the value of this land.
But this land is the big land in North Amherst to develop. So that's the one that would demand
One of the pieces.
the most use. Yeah. One of the subtle pieces about this that the public should be aware of is that you may not be safe even if your land is zoned residential outlying. That's one of the lower density of housing zoning that we have. However, by right, a developer can come in and put in a cluster subdivision without a special permit. Not having to get a special permit means that the citizens don't have input and can't refuse that project. It still has to go through a site review of the planning board, but all they can do is tweak it a little bit. They can't actually get rid of the project. So if this were a development and the town decided this is a terrible development, they have no way to stop it other than by buying the conservation rights to the land.
Have there been community meetings where this has been thoroughly discussed, not only with the people who are in North Amherst, but the consequences for the whole town?
No, there have not, but I think that is something we really should do before we, I don't know if we can stop this particular project from going forward, because the timing is quite, could happen very quickly here. Once the town doesn't, if the town doesn't decide to buy it one way or another. So I think the whole town is under the gun, as we probably are aware, because of students moving into many areas in town. Families can't afford to buy some houses because the competition is such that it makes economic sense to rent them, and outside buyers have come in and purchased the property, real estate developers essentially.
All right, to
So-
wrap this up for now, in terms of, this is the first step. Your committee is urging members of the community to become aware of the potential issues and decide for themselves whether this is in the best interest of the town or not. But certainly there's a lot of room for oversight by the community, and the community needs to get the whole picture. I hope that this opening gun here at Conversations at ACTV will encourage that kind of approach to future projects. I want to thank the two of you for coming. And do you want to make any announcements about meetings or what your immediate plans are for the near future?
Well, on Saturday, we have our annual May Day festival on the Cushman Common. So it starts at 9 a.m. with a pancake breakfast at the Cushman Scott School, and the community is welcome to that. And I would like to say that although our organization is called Save Historic Cushman, it's because we feel particularly threatened, but we really support a comprehensive solution to the rental problems in Amherst. And we feel that things are moving much too fast, and the administration and the select board should slow down a bit and come up with logic and some planning before any particular community is again sacrificed.
Well, let me ask you a question. So you see the connection in terms of the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
What is your committee contemplating in terms of bringing the student committee, the student population, as well as working families around this general issue of the crisis in housing today, affordable housing? Are you planning to reach out to those people in the community? They're part of the community now.
We're in the process of reaching out to the community on Lincoln Avenue, which has had such a problem. We've had conversations with them, and we're inviting each other to our meetings so that we can come up with something. But quite frankly, it's a difficult problem, and we don't have a solution, but we also don't feel that anybody should be sacrificed anymore, that there should be a comprehensive solution. 25 years ago, the town did a building moratorium because buildings seemed to get out of control, and the town thought we need to stop and slow things down and plan. Well, it may be time for something like that again. I don't know, but certainly to go ahead with a development like this, the land will be lost forever.
That's true.
One last word?
Well, I was just thinking, we don't have particular plans, but I do think it would be a good thing if we did have a community forum to discuss this issue and see what the town should do, perhaps going along the lines of what Jack has suggested.
Well, it seems to me
one
that
answer.
if the community is going to be involved, and that's the purpose of this campaign you're running, with signs all over town, that people are going to have a lot of questions. And also they are going to be concerned to some extent about the impact, not only the environmental impact, but the traffic impact and the other kinds of issues. And I hope you guys go ahead and organize the community meeting. I think nobody's going to do it for you.
No, well, I don't know if that's in our, where we have a lot on our plate already, but
Well, if
but I think it's we're talking to people about it, and the idea is beginning to percolate here. So we'll have to see. But there are people in the community who feel strongly, actually, that we should provide housing for the students and not ask UMass to take on that responsibility, or that we have some partial responsibility. But we're already meeting that responsibility in many ways here, and as are other towns around us.
Jack, did you want to add to that?
I don't have anything particular to
Okay.
add to that.
So at this point, if folks want more information, where do they start?
SaveHistoricCushman.com is a good place. That's our website. And there are contact information there that they can provide, and we'll be in touch with them.
Well, I thank you again.
Okay.
It's been fun.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you
Jack,
very much.
You're welcome.
We've only touched
Now,
the
I want to
surface.
just, in the minute or two that I have, let people know, and this is encouraging people to join town meeting if they're interested, but have dependent care issues. The town meeting organizing committee has a dependent care subsidy available for town meeting members, so that if you have an elder in your family or a disabled child and you can't get away, there is a stipend in order for you to be able to come to town meetings. And we'll put this on the screen. And there's a contact number, town meeting member Peggy Roberts at 549-1575 for more information. And town meeting begins, I believe, Monday, the 6th of May. And guess what? Today is May Day. Happy May Day.
Thank you
Thanks
very
again.
much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for
Enjoy.
having us. Okay.
Well
That's
done.
it. Until next week. See you soon. And thanks to the volunteers, not only on staff, but the folks who help make this system work. Goodbye.